I have to cover this topic, and I'm dreading it because I'm going to sound like a broken record. Guess who bombed Syria? Israel bombed Syria again. And just to show you like how, look at this, like April 1st, let's actually here. Look, March 29th, Israel bombed Syria. March 31st, Israel bombed Syria. April 1st, April 2nd, and April 4th. They don't waste any time, right? They don't take any breaks. It's yellow, one day after the other. I mean, this is disgusting. Do you think this gets any attention in the mainstream media? And, I have to cover this stuff because, no one else is going to do it, and I feel like I sound like a broken record. They're the broken record. They're the ones who keep doing the same goddamn thing, the same crimes. And you know why they get away with it? Because no one questions them. No one holds them to account like Russia. Everyone's focused on Russia. What about what Israel's doing? So just to recap here, basically on April 1st, they hit Homs and injured 5 Syrian soldiers. On April 2nd, I love this description. An unidentified aircraft, likely of Iranian origin. What do we have? A new acronym now? It's not a UFO. It's a UAIO. It's an unidentified aircraft, likely of Iranian origin, that crossed into Israeli airspace. Would you mind defining Israeli airspace? Is it the Golan Heights, which is Syrian? Tell me, please. Pray, tell me. So they say it crossed into Israeli airspace from Syria, was shot down by Israeli helicopters and planes. And shortly after, Syrian media reported explosions at an airport near Damascus, but did not blame Israel. Maybe it was Tanzania. Maybe it was Taiwan. Maybe it was China. Maybe it was Chile. I don't know. Why? Why would you think it's Israel? Anybody could have done it. Israeli airstrikes on April 4th. Killed 2 Syrian civilians. I was literally getting this ready while I was looking up all of these things, and they bombed Syria. Like it never ends. And I want to tell you something. Do you see how this has become more concentrated now? Like it's every other day or every single day. I have a feeling. Again, this is just my analysis. I have a feeling this is a response to the rapprochement between Syria and Saudi Arabia, between Saudi Arabia and Iran. There's a shift happening in the region, and I'm going to get to that in a second. So if you're watching this on replay or you're watching this segment, there will be another segment just on that in a moment. They get angry, the Israelis, and they send the way they communicate is violence, right? So they'll send a message by just bombing Damascus, and of course you've seen in the last year, they go specifically after the airports, and these are civilian airports, and they'll tell you, well, no, Iran is bringing in weapons. Motherfucker, the UK is bringing in weapons to Ukraine. Everyone and their uncle is bringing in weapons to Ukraine. Are you saying like Russia is allowed to bomb, Heathrow because the UK is supplying Ukraine with weapons? This is their logic, right? Anything goes. Everything is permissible. We can destroy the Aleppo airport. We can destroy the Damascus airport, which are the 2 largest civilian airports, because we claim that there were Iranian weapons coming in. So what? Let's say it's true. So what? Israel is occupying Syria. Syria has the right to go to Taiwan, to Tanzania. I keep saying the same countries, just to any country on earth to get help. The same way that Ukraine is doing. When Zelensky goes around and he pleads for help for his country, for his homeland. Syria can also go to Iran and say, help us. These motherfuckers are stealing our water and they be occupying us for 40 goddamn years. What justification do you have to then hit Syria for defending itself? This is something you'll never hear on the mainstream media because they are cowards. They are cowards. They understand resistance and all. We have to help Ukraine. Everybody has to, buckle up and just kind of accept these higher gas prices. And we have to send them weapons and we have to prioritize that because it's act of resistance. But when it comes to other legitimate acts of resistance, ones that have been going on for longer, oh, screw that. Who cares? Here's an IRGC officer who was killed. A captain. So IRGC is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and they're Iranian. So Syria has help from Iran, from Hezbollah, from Hashd al-Sha'bi. It's the resistance. It's when we say the resistance axis. That's what we're talking about, right? I want to show you this. It's so funny, man. Like I've pointed this out before, but I'm going to point it out again. Look at the headline. Read the headline for me. What does this headline say? Syria says 5 soldiers hurt in Israeli airstrikes on several targets near Homs. Okay. Here's another headline. Israeli airstrike kills 2 near Damascus amid series of attacks. Syrian state media. Now, I don't think there's any negative connotation with Syrian media or Syria says or Syrian state media. Syrian state media couldn't fucking compete, couldn't dream to compete with the BBC propaganda and the CNN propaganda. Syria and China and Russia and Iran are amateurs compared to that fucking propaganda, right? I say this jokingly, but also, it's half true. My point is they always try to kind of put in your mind that the regime said this. Look at the Syrian evil Assad regime is claiming this. So it's probably not true. Israel didn't do anything. And I know you might think that I'm singling out to headlines. I swear to God, man. I swear to God, pick any year. You're gonna get lost anyway when you Google Israel bombing Syria. You will be drowning in 100 pages of different incidents. It's always the same thing. And you're going to say, well, I picked an Israeli paper. It says the Times of Israel. No. Go. You'll see this in Reuters. You'll see this in CNN. Pick anyone you like. BBC, same thing. They always say, well, the Syrian regime is claiming this. So, maybe it's bullshit. That they try to program you, poison your mind constantly. The Iranian regime, the Syrian regime, the North Korean regime, those evil boogeymen that are out to get you, the communists, the Chinese Communist Party, the regime. And so you can't trust them, right? Because maybe it's not true, and we're angels and we didn't do anything. Here's another thing that happened. This is April 3rd. You had a roadside bomb attack in Daraa, right? So once again, Syrian state media reported. Dude, let me tell you something. If this happened in Ukraine, like there was a roadside bomb, okay, or I don't know, a Russian airstrike killed 2 people, do you think that they would bother putting Ukrainian state media or the Ukrainian military says so? They do it inside the text. Sure, they'll give you more details, but here there's a constant barrage of propaganda and programming to screw your mind and poison your mind against countries that have done absolutely nothing. This is from Al Jazeera. Car bomb rocks a suburb of Syria's capital, Damascus. This is what I was referring to. Yeah. So Al Jazeera are a bit more mature. They don't bother cluttering the headline with what we just discussed. This has happened in Mezze, so as they say, it is an affluent suburb. It's a nice place, and that's where this happened basically. So I don't know. It's kind of weird because they're saying, according to police sources, an explosive device in a civilian vehicle was detonated, bursting into flames that spread to 2 vehicles parked nearby. And nobody has come forward to claim responsibility for the attack, and it's unclear if it was meant to target a particular individual. Jesus Christ, if that is not the most pathetic terrorist attack in history. No one knows who did it, and he didn't do anything. No, it's really funny, man. But if we're being real, I'll say what I wanted to say in a second. Just look what they say here. They say a number of senior government and security officials live in Mezze, and the United Nations and a number of embassies have their offices there. That's correct. On February 27th, a Syrian officer involved in developing weapons was killed in a car bombing in the Damascus countryside. Why do I bring this up? Because we're talking about the airstrikes, which are becoming more frequent. But the Israelis, they're another one of their signatures is car bombings, right? And you can see this in Lebanon. They have many times in Lebanon, and in Syria as well, right? With the CIA, they for example, forgive me because I forget which assassination this is. I'm getting lost literally. They basically had the CIA swap one of the tires with another tire filled with C4. And of course, they assassinate people like this in Jaramana, wherever it is, inside of Damascus. So this is something they've done many, 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 many times. Now, they're not saying it's Israel in the article, but for me, when I'm reading it, I'm like, who the fuck else does car bombings in Damascus? Who? Like, just who else would do that, right? What I'm interested in knowing in this particular incident on April 3rd is who are they targeting, right? This is something. And then another incident, here you go. So you had 16 people hurt in a bus bombing. This is also in Syria on the Jordanian border, right? I mean, can we get a break? Can people get a break? Every single second there's a car bombing, a bus bombing, an airstrike. How can people live like this? And they got sanctions on top of it. This is not a life, you know? This is not a life. This is cruelty. This is cruelty, and this is what, you know, your American tax dollars are, as they say, are financing, and the war machine is financing, and the media allow this and don't tell you about this and don't want you to know about this, so you can't be outraged, right? Most people don't know, so how could they possibly protest against this? You know, I'm just saying that. Here, this is from just to give you some more details here. Look, this is from April 4th, right? So I mean, it literally just today. There was a bus attack in Syria south near the Jordan border. As I said, 16 people wounded, and they're saying it took place near the Ceuta bridge on the Damascus Amman highway. And remember, this is actually delicate because Jordan only recently reopened its border with Syria. So you're having shit like this happen. It's not exactly, you know, comforting, right? Now they say that it's probably ISIS in this case, because, you know, they're lurking in the region, and well, you know, this is kind of a moot point for me because the Israelis themselves, the Israeli military officials and intelligence officials have come out and said, we gave medical assistance to Al-Qaeda fighters, to ISIS. We helped them because we want, like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So that's their mentality. Like, you know, well, we don't like the Syrian government, so yeah, let's jump in bed with ISIS or Al-Qaeda or whoever, literally whoever. There's no, you know, it's kind of shocking because, you know, who's Israel's biggest ally? It's the United States. So, you know, they don't care that there was 9/11. They don't care. Mehdi Hassan asked this to the former Mossad chief. They don't care, right? It's like, whatever. You want to help us screw the Syrian government? Let's go. So my point here is that you have the United States occupying Syria, Turkey, another NATO country, occupying Syria, Israel occupying Syria. You know, they've chopped it into 15 pieces, and then you end up with things like this. This lawlessness, this terrorism, this chaos. And I just want to say one thing. If this happened in Ukraine in the span of a week, would it not be front page news? Bus bombing, car bombing, you know, multiple airstrikes. Would this not be front page news? Would this not be front page news? How come it doesn't matter when it happens in Syria? Don't tell me it's like, oh, it has nothing to do with who is in Syria? Literally Western countries. Who created this situation? It's not only Western countries. It's also Israel, and it's also the you know, unfortunately, some other Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. You think it's just, you know, this didn't fall from the sky, all of this turmoil. That's my point. So again, I you know, for fear of sounding like a broken record, and I guarantee you I will be back here again telling you that Israel bombed Syria because they are allowed to get away with it. The United States finances them. The media doesn't say anything about them. And you know, I like to think that they're the broken record. I'm just reporting.